Hi, and welcome to day one, track two of the International Pure Conference for the Americas, Europe, and Africa. My name is Laura Simon. I'm a research support librarian at Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis, Missouri. I'll be moderating track two today. Please use the Q&A button, which is on the right-hand side of your screen, to submit questions to the speakers. And at the end of this session, we will have time for that, as long as there's time. So I would like to introduce you to today's speakers, Thomas Gurney and Lawrence Hogan, who's on the agenda, but Lawrence is not here today. Thomas Gurney is lead product manager for data models in Pure, and Lawrence Hogan works in research administration as data governance specialist at Monash University. They will be presenting on the new data quality command center in Pure. Thomas, whenever you're ready, go ahead and begin.
Thank you very much, Laura. Yes, thank you again for the kind introduction, Laura. And just to add on what you mentioned about Lawrence joining, the reason Lawrence can't join is that we're not able to get him to actually test the data quality command center. So for the session next week in Asia Pacific, Lawrence will be co-presenting with me and presenting his findings. So this gives me an opportunity to take the stage for myself and really highlight the new data quality command center to its fullest. So apologies, Lawrence, and hopefully next week's session will be a lot better. So to get us going on this, the overall strategy for Pure in general is generally summarized by this strategy tree that we often show at presentations and we talk quite often about. So the key area that I'm primarily focused on is the manager data quality part of that tree. So for me, the data quality within your Pure is key to making sure that everything else about growing your collaborations, telling your research stories, optimizing your processes, and collecting your data in the first place. So all of that is underpinned by good quality data. And over the last couple of releases, particularly 5.21 and 5.22, we've been putting a lot of effort into making sure that high quality data is second nature to Pure. And it is all coming together with the 5Cs framework. And in the last couple of releases, we've just added a lot more depth to what we can offer in this. So what is data quality? I'm sure we all have our own definitions of it, but for us, data quality, it poses challenges, but we want you as a user, as a customer, to ultimately have trust in your own data. So in the case of external organizations, which is the first content type featured in the data quality command center, high quality external organization data allows you to really correctly and accurately evaluate collaboration efforts, to identify opportunities for further collaboration, and really be able to confidently showcase collaborations on the Pure portal to create meaningful reports that you can generate for your stakeholders. And there's often a why of why data quality poses challenges. And for us, the challenges for high quality data generally stem from the diversity of data sources. I know that there's a huge variety of import sources available to all customers, and each customer has their preferred import source, such as Scopus or Web Science or PubMed. But also, once that data comes into Pure, how it's imported and processed plays a big role in whether it's high quality data or not. So you'll see on the screen that there's a couple of screenshots there from the data quality survey that we sent out to the Danish user group. And hopefully you'll have gotten a reminder and at least the invitation to fill out the global survey for data quality. I'll add a link to that at the end of the presentation. But if not, please, we'd really appreciate it if you could fill out that survey. So coming back, in the how we are working towards improving data quality within Pure. So one of the questions that we put forward in both surveys is, what are the biggest barriers you face to improving data quality in your Pure? And overwhelming majority of respondents for the Danish user group said not enough time, followed by not enough people, low quality import sources, and also high up there was the not enough or no clear instructions for users. So what we're trying to really address with the Data Quality Command Center is how we can save you time, how we can help you focus on other tasks, how we can address the problem of low quality import sources, and how we can make this as easy to use as possible. So the next question is where to start. So I'm going to borrow a quote from Dr. Seuss, and if he was ever a pure admin, I'm sure he would say something like this. I learned there are troubles of more than one kind. Some come from ahead, others come from behind. But I've got pure. I'm all ready, you see. Now my troubles are going to have trouble with me. So I really like this quote, not only because of the power of the solution that could be available to us, but the fact that a lot of the troubles that come with data quality come from past imports, come from previous implementations, and there will always be problematic data in the future. It's just the nature of the research system. But now that we've got Pure, and now that we're building out the data quality command center, we have something for you to use to make sure that your troubles don't bother you anymore. So the first content type, as I mentioned previously, is external organizations. So there's been a lot happening with the content type in general. For example, the model unification that we released a couple of releases ago, where we made the external organization and the internal organization models much more similar to each other. And we've also been bringing out local and deep matching. So that's not only improvements in matching and UX improvements, that's the data quality interface or the command center itself, but also in the future, we'll have a cleaning service which offers ad hoc and scheduled cleaning. We've also been working in parallel, of course, on the write API, because what is the value of this functionality if we can't write it back into Pure in a suitable fashion? So, introducing the new data quality command center. So it's here now, and it represents a way forward for how customers and Pure approaches data quality. And starting with external organizations, I'm going to show you a screenshot from the overview itself. So just to give you an overview of what's happening on the screen here. Again, it's for external organizations, and the primary purpose for deduplication here is, the primary purpose for the external organization content type is the ability to deduplicate, set hierarchies, and set records as distinct. So on the left, we have our groups, and on the right, in the main preview, main screen, we have the lists. And it's worth talking about how these groups and lists are created, because this is quite a big step forward compared to our current functionality. So the way we create the groups is we start off by comparing every single external organization to each other, and we match them based on their names, their alternative names, their identifiers, and we create these sets of groups. Now, these sets of groups all or may have a common organization within these groups, and we greedily merge these clusters or groups together. Once we've run an exhaustive clustering, then we select a target, and this target could be the one with the most related content. It could be the one with the most metadata that's available on the record. But once we set the target, we then identify other high similarity organizations, and we actually pre-select them for merge. So when you open up the interface itself, you'll see that any of the high match score organizations are already pre-selected for merge. So as mentioned previously, it's not just about merging external organizations together here. It's about setting hierarchies and marking them as distinct. And to help this, we have a certain set of actions that are possible for the user. That's the set as child, i.e. contributing to the hierarchy, merging content, and setting them as distinct. And all of these actions or operations are in relation to the target itself. And we also allow for making a single organization distinct to everything else in the list. And the reason we do that is just that it's sometimes easier to process one organization in one click instead of having to make it distinct to every other organization with each subsequent click. So we've also made it conditional when we've also made actions conditional when certain criteria are met. So for example, if an organization is synced, be it a Cyval organization list or your internal sync list, we disable certain functionality so that you are not fooled, or perhaps you don't waste time trying to merge a synced organization into an unsynced organization, for example. We've also made big steps into how the result preview is shown. So if you look at the top of the screen here, the result preview is actually a combination of the target and any of the selected organizations that are going to be merged or set as children. And the great thing about the merge preview is that now it takes the metadata from the target and combines it with the metadata from the different sources. So in the example on the screen here, the first organization has a name, alternative names, and a country. But one of the sources, i.e. one of the organizations that's going to be merged into this target, it has alternative names as well, and it has a street and city information. And the result, which will also show in the preview, is the target as the base with the target country, but it'll pick up any of the street and city names and actually show you a live version or representation of what the result would look like. So there's a lot more details that you as a user might need when you're trying to merge content together. So for example, you're able to click on or expand on the specific entities in the list so that you get the long render. You're also able to click on the related content, and when you do click on that, a nice little pop-up will show, and you can scroll through all the related content of that external organization. And you're not only able to scroll through, but you're also able to click on every single content in that pop-out. We also wanted to make it a lot easier such that when you come into the interface, or when you come into the command center, you can click on a group and the list of entities is shown, a target is pre-selected for you based on certain criteria, and the high merge targets are pre-selected for you. So all you could do is come in and just click apply, and it'll take you to the next screen where it'll give you a first confirmation, and the review is supposed to be as clear as possible so that you know exactly what entities you're going to be merging with the target, what entities are going to be set as children, and what are going to be set as distinct from the target. And once you click confirm, then you get a confirmation screen, and you can actually open up the editor of this merged target directly from the confirmation screen. So the idea being that you can edit without losing the context of where your place is in the data quality interface, so that you can process a lot of information, process a lot of mergers, and then come straight back into the data quality interface without missing a beat. So getting started on this. The data quality command center, specifically the deduplication part of it, is driven by a job. And we know that external organizations is a very large content type in terms of count, but also in the metadata that's stored. So we will always advise you to make sure that external organizations need to be indexed before running the job. And the job can take approximately 4 hours, depending on how much or how many external organizations you have. And some customers may have 10,000, but some have 1.2 million, for example. And you can schedule a job much like any of our other jobs. But it is worth noting that every time the job runs, you may get new groups and new entrants or new entities in the list for that group. So the great thing and our step forward that we're trying to make standard within Pure is to make sure that there's verbose logging. So as an administrator, I can run the job and have verbose logging enabled, and I can go through the job log and actually look at the logic as to what organization is being considered as a match, and what is the match criteria, what is the match threshold, and what the final decision on the match process was. So this is really our way of trying to increase transparency and trust in the algorithms that are running in the background, but also to give you a sense of what kind of metadata the job relies on. So we're not only making steps forward in terms of the data quality command center in terms of deduplication, but we're also allowing for the deduplication of all other content types. So 522.0, for example, brings the classic style of deduplication functionality to all the different content types listed on the screen. So next time when you go into Pure and you've got 522 installed, if you click on applications, for example, at the bottom of the list there, you'll have a duplicate title section. On awards, you'll have duplicate titles and year, just to make sure that any matches are more relevant. And external organizations will still be possible in the classic functionality. So 2022 is going to be a very busy year for us. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what we're going to be doing from 523 to 525 when it comes to data quality and the data quality command center. So even as I speak, our developers are working hard to improve the automated matching that happens in the back end in the job. So optimizing the job so it takes less time. But we're also working a lot on collaboration with the org domain team within Elsevier to bring out a excuse me, automated matching service. And this will give us a huge bump in the reference accuracy that we can offer within Pure. So not only will we be improving the external organization matching, but we'll also be bringing more content types into the data quality command center, which is great for in terms of variety, but also the different actions that will be available on awards, for example. So instead of setting something as distinct, you can now set awards to be successors or predecessors of each other. So there'll be a lot of updates to the UI in the next couple of releases. And we're doing constant testing with customers, and Lawrence is one of those testers. And excuse me. So we will be making sure that we're bringing the features that you would expect and the features that you need and find valuable. But all of these discussions, all of these features that we bring out, all of these have expectations. Excuse me, just drink some water. So for us, there is the constant question really around data quality within Pure, but there's also the idea of what are the expectations of our users, what are the needs of our users. So this is why I highly recommend that you go to and complete the global survey on data quality for the Pure conference. And some of the, let's call it real talk, the real questions: can we clean everything? I mean, realistically speaking, what is our definition of good enough? What is your definition of good enough when it comes to data quality? And is there a point of diminishing returns where no matter how many new features, no matter how smart our algorithms get, are we just spending too much time on this? And so what can we do? Like, what kind of collaboration can Pure have with you, our users? And some of the questions that we should be asking each other is, should we clean everything, including your sync data? So on a lot of the testing customer data that we did, we noticed that we're finding duplicates in their synced internal organization, in their synced data provided by the institution itself. So we have at our fingertips the ability to help clean your organization data that would never necessarily be a part of Pure. But is it something that you might be interested in? And finally, what's best left to cleaning data outside of Pure? We know that Pure will never be a Python, it'll never be an R, it'll never be a full-fledged cleaning service in of itself. So there is a point where we want to help you, so for example, using Excel in a lot more hands-on manner, but being able to get that content back into Pure and get it back into the data quality command center. So there are a lot of questions that we as Pure would love to ask of you. And I'm sure that there are a lot of questions that you would like to ask us in terms of data quality. And again, I'm going to point back to the global survey on data quality, because a lot of the questions really are structured around how do you view automation within Pure? How does data quality for research output affect your operations in the Pure research team? So all these questions abound, and in our session, the APAC session, Lawrence will have a much better part of the presentation where he's able to share his learnings with using the data quality command center. But in general, if you have any questions about data quality, you can direct them either directly at me, or you can contact our support team, or you can take out your mobile phone and just take a picture of the QR code, and you can actually create an appointment with me, and we can talk about data quality. We've had a lot of success talking directly to customers and looking exactly at their data quality problems and identifying specific jobs that can help them. We're identifying a lot of processes and workflows that can help them clean data, even without the use of the data quality command center. So
thank you, Thomas. Do we have time? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's my last slide. Thank you, Lauren.
Wonderful. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting you. We have lots of great questions coming in that I'm excited to hear what you have to say. So, the first question, will the future cleaning service come at an additional cost?
So the data quality command center itself is going to be part and parcel of Pure. So as a customer, I wouldn't worry too much about that. But the external organization cleaning service, specifically the scheduled and ad hoc cleaning, yes, will come at a cost, but a very low cost.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question is all related content really shown or just a selection, say 25 of the most recent content types?
Good question. No, all related content is shown. So if you remember when we introduced the new global search toolbar at the top, we had a nice little breakdown of content types, and you could select through to the overview window if you really wanted to view more. But no, in this iteration here, all the related content types are shown in that list. So we are open to suggestions or ideas as to whether we should break it down, just show the top 20, etc. But really, we want to bring the most relevant information to your fingertips at the right time.
Okay. Next question is, the data quality command center makes the job of deduplication easier to view, but mistakes will still happen. I have made mistakes deduplicating or merging. Untangling erroneously merged organizations is a fraught process. Are there any plans to make it easier to undo deduplication if an error has occurred?
That's a good question. So if the error occurred a couple of days ago or earlier in the day, yes, there are plans. But if the error occurred a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and there have been modifications to related content to this, I'm afraid that's getting to a very difficult stage where even companies such as GitHub, for example, which are not able to solve this kind of problem. So it's a wicked hard problem.
Okay. So having unique identifiers is a good way to improve the data quality. So there's ORCID IDs, of course, and research outputs have DOIs. Are there any plans to introduce these for external organizations? And the parentheses for this person asking is ROR, which I don't know what that acronym is. So I guess that's another question.
Yeah, so identifiers, again, depending on the import source, can be a great source of truth. But again, there are some caveats. So we want to make sure that any identifiers that we do bring in are of high quality. But ideally, yes, there'll be a lot more use of identifiers and different identifiers available to customers.
Deduplication roles, are there separate roles for every entity?
All the deduplication roles are, so if I as a user log into Pure, the data quality tab will only show me the content types I have access to deduplicate. So all the role permissions are already guaranteed through the current functionality, and those are reflected in the new data quality command center.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Well, we have reached the end of this session. So thank you very much for a wonderful presentation, Thomas. See you in the next session, which is what is the publication date of an article?
Thanks, Laura. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.